rebuilding trust with your ex is very difficult when there's been infidelity or just a slow breakdown over the years of that relationship. But what's amazing, or now I've discovered this for myself, and I'm not alone in this, that you can rebuild trust, but to be honest, it's a more useful form of trust when you're co-parenting. Yeah, sure, you might never trust them again on a romantic level, but if you're no longer going to be with them, is that a problem? What you need to do though is build a relationship of trust with them as a parent. And the trouble is that initially all that pain and suffering and wounding from, let's take infidelity as an example, that broken trust there, that overshadows everything else, and it can really cloud your judgment big time. And then it can feed into messing up your co-parenting relationship. So actually it's not what they did with someone else that's the problem, it's the way you are reacting to it and dealing with it. So dealing with those emotions, getting support, counselling, coaching, both could be incredibly helpful at speeding up that healing process that you need to go through, because you are wounded and you are hurt and you do need to get that healing process kick-started. But whatever the cause of that broken trust, you can rebuild it. And the simplest way to do that is just to lead by example, actually, is to not blame. If you keep making the other person feel guilty all the time, they will end up hating you and they won't trust you. So the first thing is that you have to get their trust, which sounds a bit counterintuitive, but actually usually the trust is broken down on both sides for whatever reason. And so when you remain constant, put the children first, still have your own boundaries, you're not a doormat, you would be surprised how over a period of time that your ex begins to see you as probably the most reasonable, stable person that in the whole divorce scenario, because you just don't use your anger as a weapon anymore. And then what can happen, and I've seen this happen, is that even when an ex has been quite vindictive and horrible to their spouse, and during the divorce process, sometimes fueled by lawyers, fueled by relatives, it's not always them just being horrible. There's often a lot of going on in the background. Not that that's an excuse, but it's a vulnerable time for everybody. But if you don't take the bait and just keep rushing back to court every time they do something that really annoys you, and just hold a steady course, quite often they will finally wake up and realise that they're not getting what they want. The lawyer promised them this, they're getting broke, they're spending all their money, and the divorce isn't actually moving along in a very helpful direction. And if you're the one who's just stayed solid, going, we can use mediation, here it is. I'm prepared, despite everything that's gone on, to put that aside. I'm still healing. I'm not saying I've forgiven, but I'm able to put that aside and to let's work something out for our kids, because we are working together as parents, irrespective of what our history is. And we're going to go on working together. So let's make this happen in the best way possible for both of us. If you can become that grown up, something amazing happens, that over a period of time you begin to really start to build a trusting relationship that probably was there once upon a time, but it's different relationship. You're not dating them, you're not going to rush off necessarily and fall in love and marry with them again, but you can learn to respect and honour them as a co-parent, because you've given them that space and that opportunity. And it takes a lot of courage, and it's not an easy thing to do. And I don't think it's very easy to do on your own. And it's again where counselling, and I think particularly coaching, is very, very useful, because that will allow you to keep focused on, what do I want out of this? To feel better by being angry and spitting venom, or, actually, I like to be able to do a swap over with the kids and everything's nice and I go on with my day and I'm just happy and I just don't worry about what happened in the past anymore. That freedom, that peace is available to you. And coaches, healers, and also some counsellors can work on that level too. It's something that I would highly recommend. So yes, in my experience, you can rebuild trust in a relationship where it's been shattered. But it starts with you and not them. You lead the way and they will usually follow. And if they don't, it's their loss. You will have learnt and grown through that process. You won't be walking around with anger and upset. You will have moved on. You'll be happy and at peace.